What's up, everybody? You're watching a brand new episode of Put You On. I'm your host this week, Jenna, and I have my special guest here, Jordan Blade. What's up? How are you?
What's going on? I'm good. How are y'all?
Like I told you right before we got on, I'm tired, but Blue's a little jealous that I'm partnered up with you this week, so that makes me feel even better that I get to make him jealous. So I'm
Yeah,
good.
jealousy as energy. Yes.
Exactly. So I feel good. But
Good.
yeah, so let's get into it. Tell me a little bit about yourself. How did you fall in love with wrestling? What made you decide, you know what, I want to do this as a career?
Yeah, so I started watching wrestling when I was 12, which is typically like a little bit later in life than you see most people. Most people are like, "Oh yeah, I started watching wrestling when I was 5 or 6 or 3 or whatever." So I was like a little late bloomer, I guess, if you want to call it. And I just gravitated towards it. After that, I couldn't get enough of it. I was always researching, and I wanted to watch and see more. And soon, it started with SmackDown when it was on Thursdays, and soon it evolved into, okay, cool, here's Monday Night Raw. Okay, cool, here's Ring of Honor, and then it's the Indies, and then I was like, okay, like I want to do this. I mean, there's a couple other things that I had passions for, growing up, but everything that I've had a passion for, I've ended up doing, and I mean, I don't want to sound cocky, but like excelling in, and I don't want pro wrestling to be
Talk
any
your shit.
different. um,
I hear
so
you.
yeah, so I just was like, I was in middle school and I was researching pro wrestling schools within a reasonable distance from me, and I was so invested in it that I made my mother a PowerPoint presentation of all the wrestling schools that I could possibly go to, and I was just like, you'll have to pay for it, but like I promise I'll stick with it, and all of this. And anyway, I ended up going to wrestling school when I graduated college. So again, a little bit later than I would have liked, but I think I'm a big believer in the universe, and everything kind of happens, for a reason, and when the time is right. So
I'm the same way. I'm definitely about, like, you put things out into the universe and you manifest, it's gonna come back to you some shape or form. Um but yeah, so that's interesting. So you made a PowerPoint for your mom, and you said this, you fell in love you fell in love around 12, but you
yeah.
actually wound up going to wrestling school after college. So I'm assuming your mom wasn't feeling it because clearly there's a few there's a
Well,
gap there.
right, exactly. So there was a few setbacks that I had. So my mom, when I was a sophomore in college, like I finally wanted to take the plunge, because I had been going back and forth on it, and throughout high school and things like that, and I kind of like drifted away from wrestling a little bit, especially when I became like a freshman in college. But anyway, so she went with me to a school that was local, was like 15 minutes from my house, and talked to the owner and everything, and I was gonna start. But when I was a sophomore in college, I tore my ACL.
Oh wow.
I played competitive ultimate frisbee in high school and college, and that's how I tore my ACL. So I was on the shelf for about 2 years, which is like way longer than what a normal ACL recovery time period is. I was just dealing with a ton of tendonitis in the knee, and things like
Oh
that.
wow.
So the day that I got discharged from physical therapy was the same day that I started wrestling school, which is September 4th, 2015.
Wow. So you felt like you just didn't want to waste any time. It was already enough time that went by. You just had to get into it essentially.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't in any pain anymore with regards to my knee, and I was just like, what's stopping me right now? Let's do this.
Definitely, definitely. So you mentioned that you, outside of wrestling, you had other passions. What essentially outside of that is something that your passion basically?
Yeah, so at the time, so I played basketball for 10 years. From
Okay.
Started playing when I was like six-ish, up through when I was a freshman in high school. So I wanted to be a part of the WNBA and all of that, and like I wouldn't say like I fell out of love with it, but I kind of got to a point where I was kind of at a crossroads, and kind of going towards another passion, which was music. So I
Mm.
played three different instruments in middle school and high school. I played guitar, I played mellophone, and I played French horn. And French horn is a beautiful instrument. I still have mine at my parents' house today. But in high school, and I think a lot of people can attest to this, the or at least what I was dealing with, the sports coaches and the band directors don't typically get along because you have to share you have to
Your
share your
time,
athletes, you have
essentially.
to share your
Yeah.
students. Yeah. So you would have to split your time between your whatever sport practice and whatever band practice. And I wanted to play basketball. I wanted to be on the wrestling team, but I knew that, especially with basketball, I knew that the coach like would not give me much playing time because I would only be attending essentially half the practices, which is understandable. I mean, how can you could do all the drills and everything, but how can you learn, the certain plays that we're gonna do, or bond with your team or something like that? So I chose to go 100% in the other direction. And I did concert band and I did marching band, which is one of the best times of my life. I don't regret that at all. But
Definitely.
when I started playing basketball and started pursuing my other passion with regards to music, so I had private teachers. When I had a private guitar teacher and I had a private French horn teacher. And so I really wanted to, like, I wanted to go to Juilliard. I wanted to double major in
Wow.
music. Yeah. So there's a lot there. I didn't end up doing that, but um, that was another passion of mine, and music definitely is something that stuck with me. So that's kind of a little bit of what you see in Jordan Blade is that passion for music, and especially in the early years of Jordan Blade. When I when I was the pop punk paramour, a very one dimensional character, really. Like, hey,
Yeah.
okay, she likes pop punk music. Okay, what else? Like, is there
Listen,
anything?
one of my favorite songs from Paramore is "Ain't It Fun." So listen, like I get you. I get
Yes,
it. They're a vibe, so I understand.
yes. I really wanted it to work, and I just couldn't. I feel like I'm creative, but in some avenues I'm just not super creative, and I really wanted it to work with the whole pop punk Paramore. I was like, there's alliteration, there's wordplay there. I really enjoyed it, but I just couldn't I couldn't make it work. And then, I broke my ankle, and then I was able to kind of reinvent myself after that. So that's kind of where the transition you see me kind of going in the avenue that I'm going now is.
Well, so when you say you weren't that creative in the sense you mean more so with music, because I would think, especially being a wrestler now, there's obviously some form of like creativity that you have to use in regards to your character work and in ring work. So you mean more so you just couldn't find it in like the music route, I suppose.
No, so I mean, like, I wasn't creative with kind of like toying with like who who is the pop punk paramour? Like, who is she? What does she stand for? What are her motives? What makes her angry? What makes her happy? And I couldn't really dig that out of me. Like,
Okay.
again, it just felt very one dimensional. I was like, when I played guitar and French horn, like, I was very creative. Like, I wish I still played. But um yeah, I the very both beautiful instruments. But yeah, I just meant like, with like the early incarnation of Jordan Blade, I just
Okay.
it took a while to kind of get my stride and figure out who I was, which I feel like every wrestler for the most part goes through.
Yeah, in general, just a person in life, right? You just have to find yourself. So,
Exactly.
right.
Yeah. So it's kind of like I was going through like a little metamorphosis, or, kind of like being reborn like a phoenix, and all the symbolism and all of that.
Yeah. So, okay, so you mentioned your passion and obviously your love for wrestling. So let's say wrestling didn't pan out. What do you think you would be career wise in the sense just what do you be would be doing? Would it be a musician or would it be a WNBA player, what would it be? Or maybe it's like something completely left field.
It would probably be some sort of athlete. I borrow from CM Punk here. My passion is competition. My addiction is wrestling, or however whatever that first promo was when he debuted on ECW.
Yeah.
I am an athlete and a competitive person by nature. I've been competing again since I was 6 years old, and probably even before that, that I can remember.
Yeah.
Probably some sort of athlete. And I mean, there were still like competitive nuances in music as well. Like when I would, audition for all county or all district band or something like that. I mean, you were competing with the best in the county or the best in the district or the best in the section or whatever. So, another form of competition. But I would probably still be some sort of athlete or working with athletes in some sort of way, whether that be coaching or like a strength and conditioning coach. That's what I wanted to do when I went to college. Just when I got my bachelor's in was exercise science. So I've always
Nice.
wanted to be around, like an athlete myself, but I've always wanted to be around athletes. Like those are my people because they're competitive and they just understand it.
So let me ask you. So when, let's say you decide you want to hang up your boots and you're done with wrestling, and you want to be in that realm, essentially, what do you possibly see yourself doing if it's obviously not being an active wrestler anymore?
Yeah, so some form of training, like whether it's like being a wrestling coach, like a professional wrestling
Okay.
coach or whatever, like training someone or people down at the PC, for example, or the Nightmare Factory, or somewhere else, something like that. Because I just feel like, and that's kind of like my long term goal too, right? Like I can't wrestle forever. I wish I could, but I can't. We all
Right.
have our time is ticking, so
For
I think
sure.
I'll always be a part of wrestling in some aspect, again, whether that's being like Michael Hayes, not Michael Hayes, what's his name, the strength conditioning coach at the PC. That's being like him, just being a strength coach for wrestlers, or being an active wrestling trainer, or being a producer or an agent or something like that. Like I think I will always be
Have to
involved
be
and
in.
want to be
Yeah,
involved. Yeah, in wrestling. I
for
can't.
sure.
It's addicting. Can't give it up.
Listen, I hate when it's your passion, it's your passion.
Yeah.
So so growing up, so you said, like, again, 12, that you fell in love with wrestling. Who were some of your favorites growing up and today?
Yeah. So growing up, Lita, Team Extreme. Make a little bit later, Mickey James.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I'm like, of course I'm drawing, but John Cena. Like I was John Cena for Halloween one time. I mean, come on, I'm a huge John Cena fan. When
For
I
sure.
kind of got more into not even into the business, but kind of figured out like what was going on and stuff like that. And figured out like, hey, like I want to be a wrestler. I started watching wrestlers that um, I kind of wanted to emulate and be like and wrestle like. So then I started garnering appreciation for people like Cesaro, or people like Kurt Angle, or even like not more obscure, but like people like William Regal or Robbie Brookside. People like that I really started watching and taking notes on, because they're just so good at their craft, and that's the type of wrestling that I wanted to do even before like I started doing jujitsu. Like I remember when I started wrestling training, for the longest time people thought I had an amateur wrestling background. Like
Right.
catch wrestling and grappling and things like that just came like second nature to me, even though I had never
Mhm.
done any of that before. Like I started doing jujitsu after I
Yeah.
started wrestling. So
I
which
saw that. I saw that. So you do everything basically.
yeah, I mean, so um, a lot of people are like, which is their prerogative. Like, a lot of wrestlers want to go to Japan, and that's great. I don't want to go to Japan, and I feel like, please don't throw stones at me, everybody.
I'm intrigued by that because, like you said, that's just kind of everyone's, like, wet dream is to go to New Japan and be in New Japan pro wrestling. Why is that not the case for you? Not to go off topic with what you're saying, but why is that?
No, yeah. So I just think, a lot of people want to go to New Japan or Stardom or something like that. And granted, look, if they reached out to me and they were like, "Hey, like, do you want to come?" Like, I would be there in a heartbeat. I'm not even gonna sit up here and
Right.
say that I would turn that down.
Right.
But I gravitate more towards British wrestling, the UK scene, grappling again, essentially.
Okay.
I just like that style better. And I feel
Hmm.
like that suits me more, obviously, with what my style is, as well. Again, I wouldn't turn down an offer from like Stardom or something like that. But if someone like Progress Pro Wrestling or Rev Pro or someone called me, I'd be like, hey, let's go. I'm here
Or
for it.
NXT UK. Yeah.
Or NXT, right? Exactly. So.
Okay. That makes sense. Blue Axe, are there any pics of you in the Cena costume?
Oh my goodness, I would have to delve deep and maybe hit up my friend's mom. She may have
Okay, so
those.
you gotta go through. You gotta make
I
some
gotta
phone
go
calls or
through.
something.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to make some
Yeah,
phone calls. Luckily, my friend's mom lives like maybe 15 minutes away, so I can be like, "Hey, like, you still got that photo?"
definitely for like a throwback Thursday. Just posted on
Yeah, for
Instagram
real.
or Twitter.
Yes, exactly.
So one of the things you mentioned, you said Lita was one of your favorites. Did you actually catch her match with Becky at Elimination Chamber?
Of course.
What did you think?
I, you know, so I love them both. Like
Mhm.
I'm not ashamed to say it. Like I've met them both, and I marked
Nice.
out both times when I met them. So it's like, I mean, whatever. Like,
It is what it is. Like,
yeah,
yeah,
like, if pro wrestlers, like, they'll shit sometimes on other pro wrestlers or fans with being marks or whatever. I hate when people throw that term out in a derogatory fashion, but it's like, why are we in this business if we're not all marks? So
listen, I
anyway,
say this. I say the same. We'll talk about it, but go ahead. Go ahead. Continue.
yeah, I just a little like pet peeve of mine. I'm going on a tangent here, but I enjoyed the match. I'm glad that they were able to do something, big like that in Saudi Arabia, and everything, and be as safe as possible when doing that. So, props to both of them. And I mean, Lita still got it. I mean, let's go.
I
I'm
think
here for
so.
one more Lita run. I'm here for one more Lita run.
Listen, I literally said that after the match. I'm like, I would not be mad if Lita said, you know what, I'm gonna stay here, stay for another 6 months to a year. Like, it's just a whole bunch of dream matches that can happen. I think she looked
Exactly.
absolutely amazing, and at certain points, I felt like she carried a match. So this is no shade or hate to Becky, but I felt she looked really good.
Yeah,
So
and there's a ton of, especially with the newer talent that they have there, that I think that she can mix it up with, and have good matches with. I mean, Sasha, Rhea Ripley. I mean, I'm naming all my favorites right now, but um,
yeah,
you know, I think, I mean, she can tear it up. She can tear it up.
for sure. For sure. Now going back, because you and I have a similar pet peeve in regards to the whole mark thing, right? We've been doing this series on Twitch for, I want to say, a couple of months now, and I've gotten different perspectives in regards to just people who are in the industry now and how they view things differently now that they're in it, right? As opposed to like looking at things in perspective as a fan. Um, some people are like, I don't want to give mark out, when I'm in the presence of others, and some people are like, listen, I'm a fan, you know. Um, let's dive into it. Why exactly is that a pet peeve for you, and how do you feel like if you came to me some of your favorites, like as now as a wrestler, what, like, is it, do you still mark out, or do you try to keep your composure? Like, what's your take on all of that?
Sure. So at the end of the day, like, we're all professional wrestlers, right? So professional being the first word.
Right.
Some people don't embody that, but that's okay. Professional, but we're all professional wrestlers, right? So
Right.
I've met Mickey James, I've met Lita, I've met Trish Stratus, I've met CM Punk, and those were times where I was a fan. I might have met Trish when I was like still early on in my career. I can't remember. But she talked more to my
Mhm.
wife anyway because they were bonding over both of their sons, mine and my wife's son too, having long hair. So I was like, I'm here to meet Trish. What do you mean? Like, I want to talk to her in the video.
I hear you. I get it. It's my
So,
time.
yeah, like what? But there's always a level of professionalism. I'm not gonna sit up here, especially as a wrestler, and be like,
Yeah.
you, but oh my god, you know, I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna, hey, like, nice to meet you. Like, I was super stoked to be on the same show as Mercedes Martinez back in December. I was
Yeah.
not like a crazed fan that wants an autograph or something like that. I came up to, I went up to her, like, she was doing her thing or whatever in the back, wasn't going to disturb her or whatever. We ended up talking after both of our respective matches. We just had a conversation. I
Yeah.
wasn't, again, I wasn't being weird. Like, I was just, being a normal person to her, and
Right.
still being like, hey, like, I love your stuff. I've an immense amount of respect for you. Thank you so much. Like, and she gave me feedback on my match and everything, and we had a good conversation back and forth for a few minutes, and and that's what it was, and we keep up with each other on Twitter and stuff like that, and that's, I think, like a healthy like way to,
For
I feel
sure.
like you can still appreciate people that you come into contact with and you meet, and who may be your heroes or who are still wrestling on the indies, that you come across that you're fans of. And I think it's perfectly okay to be like, hey man, I really love your stuff.
For sure.
Thank you, something like that. So there's definitely a line there. Again, like, so, what do you mean to tell me, like, you're not a fan of any wrestling or any wrestler, or there was no wrestler
Yeah.
that inspires you, or no wrestlers that inspire you now that are still wrestling? Like, you are still a mark. And I think, and I made the comment earlier that I hate when people use it in a derogatory term.
Right.
So there's a way to be like, like, hey, I'm a mark or whatever. Yeah, because I'm a fan of wrestling. That's literally the definition, right? A mark is a
Yeah.
fan. Like, I am a mark for Paramore because they're my favorite band, right? I'm a fan of
Yeah.
Paramore. I
Yeah.
will absolutely lose my mind if I ever meet Haley, but that's a different story. But
It's
um,
like you and Bailey will get along great. The way you guys
that's what
mark
I'm
out for
saying,
Paramore.
right? We're practically besties. We're practically best friends. So
Probably
so
a
yeah, I
thousand
think.
percent. I wouldn't be surprised by that.
Yeah, so if I ever make it to WWE or something like that, and she sees my tattoo, maybe we'll be best friends or something. But
There you
yeah,
go.
so I don't like it when people use the term mark in a derogatory manner, especially towards fans, because I'm like, the fans are literally the reason that we're in this ring right now. Like, you cannot be derogatory towards the people that are paying to see you, or not paying to see you, paying to see the next person on the card, whatever. Like, and you're fighting with them, you're putting them down. Why are we doing this? Why? And
For
I
sure.
understand that, we've pulled the curtain back so much on professional wrestling, and there's some things that, I do believe should stay behind the curtain, and it is what it is now. We can't really do anything about it. You can
Hmm.
only control yourself and how much you choose to divulge as far as your character or your persona or your matches that you have going on. But don't sit up here and get mad at the fans because you think they're being a smart or a mark or whatever you determine it to be. They're
Right.
just, at least they're buying into something. At least they're buying into something, and they're getting invested, and however way they get invested in, like, they are literally the reason we are able to do this. And it was really tough
I
when we
agree.
had those empty arena shows. And I think a lot of people realize, like, if they didn't before, like, how important those fans are to the art and the sport of professional wrestling.
1,000%. I couldn't agree with you more. And I just feel like going back to what you said, there's a level, right? It where you want to be professional, you admire someone's work, and you can let that person know. But you don't have to cross the line where it's like where it's overly creepy or something like that. So I think it from a fan's perspective, not someone that's in the industry, may not understand that that balance. But I agree. Listen, if there's a reason why I got into wrestling is because I grew up watching said person. So you essentially you're gonna be a fan, no matter how you
Yep.
slice it. So yeah, I agree 1,000%. So with that said, you're a fan of wrestling. You told me some of the people that you enjoyed growing up watching. What are some dream matches that you have currently with people obviously you haven't faced yet?
Oh man, so me and Becky Lynch, that's the first person that comes to mind.
Okay.
Me and Becky, me and Mercedes, me and Thunder Rosa. Even though I wrestled her or these two people a ton of times, I would wrestle them any day of the week, and I always put them over on every podcast that I'm on. But Trishadora and Janai Kai, I would wrestle them 100 times a week if I could. I just think they're phenomenal.
For sure.
And I once, I know for Eel and I, a dream tag match for us is Violence is Forever.
Well, speaking of, it was funny that you brought him up. You guys have a tag team, a pretty known tag team called the Kings of District. So you're from DC, right?
Okay, so that is, I feel so bad. No, we
Okay.
neither of us are from DC.
So you're
Eel,
you're perpetuating a lie essentially. Okay, breaking news. Okay.
I know. So Eel is from Maryland and I'm from Virginia, and that is where we both reside right
Okay,
now.
talk to me. Okay, before you even we get into in depth in regards to the tag team, what is this confusion I have when it comes to the DMV, right? Because I was speaking to someone recently that who's from DC, and I was like, "Oh yeah, you guys have that accent due to, you how you say stuff." And he was like, "No, no, we're not included in the DMV." Like, so I'm just, what's the deal with that? Because I get it, I'm from New York, so like, with different boroughs and stuff like that. But let me know. I'm
So
I'm I'm highly confused.
okay, so I mean, as everyone knows, like the DMV is stands for DC, Maryland, Virginia, right?
Right.
So I feel like, and it's very sad, but I feel like Virginia like is just like cast aside as like the redheaded stepchild type deal. I think people focus more on DC and Maryland, and especially DC, because
Right.
unfortunately, Virginia is like the wasteland of professional wrestling.
Wow.
That's why I'm in the Northeast and the tri-state area so much. There's a lot of people who actually thought I was from the tri-state area because I'm up there so much to wrestle. I'm like, no ma'am, no sir, I'm from Virginia. Meaning as soon as I get to Eel's house or to Trisha's house or to Janai's crib, whatever, I still got 2 more hours down south I have to drive, and it's irritating.
I could imagine.
I'm
So,
like,
okay,
man, I'm home already.
so you're
I'm
from
not.
Virginia.
Yep.
You're from Virginia and he's from Maryland.
Yep.
So now, where does the name the Kings of District come from?
So the Kings of the District, Eel made that up because he's the
Okay.
creative one of the team. And
Okay.
I think like we just and we I feel so bad. So because everyone like they announcers or commentators or whatever will come up to me and be like, okay, yeah, so you're from DC, and what else do you want me to say? I'm like, I'm not from DC. Um, I think we wanted to incorporate like the DMV, right? So
Okay.
so DMV, the first part being the District of Columbia. So,
Correct.
or so, and we're not changing our name now, but I think that was kind of like the gist of where that came from. But if anybody wants to be upset, blame Eel. At Eel O'Neill AAHS on Twitter. Uh,
There we go. It
I'll plug him first. But yes, no, both of us have been living in a lie for close to 3 years now. So I apologize to our fans for betraying you, mainly our peers, because everybody thought we were from DC, but we are not. The only person who's from DC in this tag team that we occasionally do, the Kings and Queen of the District, is Trish. Trish is from
Trish.
DC. Yes.
Trish is the real one that's from DC. So
Trish
okay,
is
so
the
but
real
then
one. Trish is the real
she's
one.
the real one. So my thing is then okay. So how do you represent where you're from then? If you're not from, if you're not from there, how does Virginia come out when you come out to the ring? We'll
Yeah,
get to
so I
him. We're gonna have to ask him that, but with you, talk to
yes.
me.
Yeah, so I, with my in-ring introductions or whatever, so I always state fighting out of Mongrel Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, which is the jiu-jitsu gym that I train at in
Okay.
Richmond, Virginia. So
Okay.
I always rep Richmond because it is where I'm from and
Okay.
everything. I've always stated every incarnation of Jordan Blade. I've always stated that I'm from Richmond, Virginia. So that's how I get that in there. But Eel and I tag so much that people. But I will say, when we do our tag entrances, we do say
Yeah.
we're from the DMV. So y'all need to
So
pay
okay.
attention.
Okay. All right. If that's if we want to be technical, okay. All right.
Yes.
Listen, like you just perpetrating a lie. It's fine. It's cool. You're a liar. Um, that's fine. Um, so besides that, you had a really big match this past weekend with Darius Lockhart. I was watching your promo obviously before the match, and one of the things like so I'm the type of person I love technical wrestling. I love people who just good in the ring, but I gravitate to promos. And I feel like with promos, if someone may not be the best wrestler in the ring, if you're really good at captivating a crowd, you can mask that. So when I was listening to your promo, I was captivated because not only you mentioned in regards to um you haven't embraced yourself fully, the most of you, but one of the parts that you haven't embraced was your black side. What is that? What did you mean by that, and what did it mean for you after you had the match with him in regards to embracing your black side?
Yeah, so we about to get deep now. So
Listen,
I I mean, hey, hey,
it's Black History Month. Let's do
it
it.
is. Here we are. So I've just felt um my whole my whole life that and it's hard to explain, when I'm in black rooms, it never feels like I'm fully embraced. It always feels as though I have to put on, and I have to be, quote, ghetto, or I have to talk, with more ebonics to be
Right.
accepted, because there's been many instances where I felt like, even if I'm in an all black room, oh, there's the white chick, because I'm not acting like them, or I'm not talking like them, or what have you. Um,
Right.
and it's very frustrating because it feels as though I'm being prejudged by my
Mm-hmm.
own people, um, before you even get to know me. And I feel like I for the most part, I get along with everyone, to certain levels and certain degrees. I mean, you're not gonna get along with everyone, but I feel like I'm a pretty laid back person. I'm pretty chill. I
Right.
like to make people laugh. I joke around a lot, obviously, when it's appropriate. And that's just kind of my personality. I'm just kind of very chill and laid back. And, I like to make people laugh. And if I feel like I'm in an awkward situation, I'll try to, lighten the mood or something like that. And that's just how I am.
Mm-hmm.
But so, case in point, like, I just started a new job about 3 months ago,
Mm-hmm.
and it so I'll just say it. So I'm in an admin position, so I work front desk at a medical facility, and most of my coworkers up front who are in that admin position are white, and most of the techs are of color. They're black, and so I feel as though, and granted, I spend more time up front with my admin coworkers, obviously. Um,
Right.
I got along with all of them, and it's great. And I'll go back to the break room, and there'll be, a few of the techs back there or whatever, taking a break or what have you, and they're, joking around, and they're laughing and everything. And, it just feels as though, excuse me, they treat me different, or they look at me differently because I don't know, maybe because I get along with white people, or I'm getting along with my coworkers up front and admin, and I'm not thug enough, or I'm not ratchet enough or whatever,
Yeah.
to talk to them, or to be on their level. And that's happened multiple times, like across, like, my whole life. I'm just kind of giving you the most recent example, and it's taken a lot. And now I'm kind of at a place where, yeah, like, okay, like, I get along with everybody at my job, and we I cut up with my coworkers up front, and I cut up with the techs that mainly work in the back and everything, and we kind of came to we we get along, for the most part now and everything. And it's just frustrating, because it's like, it's the saying sometimes, it's like it be your own people, and it's frustrating because
Hey,
I already have to fight so hard. Like, it's like I come from
as it
behind,
is. Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
I don't want, like, I grew up like, if you took myself and my wife, and you put us side by side, and you put a picture of us, and you took a sample size of 25 people. So I'm black, obviously. My wife is
Hmm.
white.
Yes.
If you were to poll 25 people, and if you were to tell them, guess which one had the harder upbringing, how
I
many
would
of
say
those people
you.
probably would say me? Which is
Right.
not the case at all. It's quite the opposite. Quite the opposite. I had a
Interesting.
very normal, good upbringing. The middle class. Like, I'm an only child, so, like, I was definitely spoiled. Like, my mother did everything for me. I owe my mother everything, and that's part of the
Right.
reason why I did this. But, like, my wife, for example, I'm not going to get into her stuff, but she did
Yeah.
not have the best upbringing, and
Hmm.
but she's white.
So white is right,
People are not
essentially.
gonna, yeah, people are not going to think she had a shitty upbringing, and she did.
Yeah.
And I did not. So
Hmm. I hear you. So with that said, and listen, I agree with you, and I feel like, and that's the beauty of being black. Just we there's so many different layers to us, right? Like, you love punk rock, right? We can love this, we can love that. We don't necessarily have to fit in a box that society puts us in. And I,
right.
not to go make this about me, but I can relate in when I was in college, and I've had this conversation numerous of times. Like, I get along with black people, every type of person, fine. But I remember specifically when I was in a program back in college, like a club, it was like a hip hop club. I didn't feel comfortable because not that it wasn't that I wasn't like black enough. It's just something that I feel like I think you're alluding to, that you have to just be a certain way, and that's, you may not just be that type of person. So then you might be you people might get along with you, but they're not really getting along with you because you're not like them. So I think that's definitely something in our community specifically that is an issue, when at the end of the day we should all rally around each other, because we know, like, the challenges of being black, right? So I definitely understand what you're saying in regards to that. So, but then going back to the promo, right? What did that match do for you in the sense of embracing your black side, well, being black?
Yeah. So I mean, those were real tears that I shed in that ring.
I
You
saw
know,
that.
yeah. And Darius was like, I may be paraphrasing, but he said basically along the lines of like, there's no, one true way to be Black.
Right.
And even though like my subconscious knows that, it was really hard after 29 years, and I'm dating myself, but it's really hard after 29
Okay, I'm
years.
31. It's fine.
Yeah.
It's all good.
Right. Um, it's really hard to beat that out of me, especially when you keep having those experiences, and you keep
For sure.
hoping that, okay, like I'm 12. This isn't gonna happen when I'm in high school. All right, I'm 16. Like when I graduate, it'll be better.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm a senior in college. Maybe when I get out into the workforce, it'll be better. And it's just like for me, my experiences, it hasn't been. And so
Yeah.
it's really hard for me to just beat that out of my head.
Hmm.
That I do belong. And when I said like maybe it's my fault and I should have elaborated in the promo, you know maybe it's my fault that I don't know enough about Black history. Maybe it's my fault that I need to delve deeper into my grandparents past and everything, especially my maternal grandparents. That's where the name Jordan comes from. It's my mother's maiden name.
Okay.
So plus, she was going back and forth on naming me what my real name is and Jordan. And I thought, you should name me Jordan. I would have gotten more chicks growing up. But anyways, so
Is that what it is? That's the name that was
that's
gonna
not,
do it?
it's 50-50.
Okay.
It's very sentimental to me. And also, I'm just like, Jordan would have got me more chicks. Come on,
But you
man.
got but you got the right chick now, so that doesn't matter.
This is true. This is true. Love you, babe. This is
Listen,
why.
like listen. Hey, not trying to
But
get you
yeah,
in trouble.
I know, right? Yeah, yeah. I'm about to get myself in trouble. She's about to text me right
Right.
now. Um,
Exactly.
but yeah, so, so I'm like, maybe that's my fault, and I'll take responsibility for that. I don't have a problem, doing that. A problem like acknowledging my shortcomings. Like I know my shortcomings very, very well, and I feel
That's
like I
good
keep
though.
adding to them. But yeah,
Yeah.
so you know, I, part of it is educating myself too. I'm not just going to sit up here and blame it on everybody else or the outside world. I take as much responsibility for that as the experiences that I've had outside of me.
Absolutely, definitely. I agree with that 1,000%. Um, Going back to that promo too. Outside of that, the thing that you mentioned prior to that was that you said you're a masculine, passing queer woman. And when I see on your page, obviously that you're proud of who you are, and then on Twitter you have your pronouns as she, her, he, him. How important is it to you in regards to making that like making sure that someone um says the right pronouns, and how has that been an issue in regards to your career or just in general, honestly, because I know it's such a new thing when it comes to like pronouns. So how
Yeah,
has that
and
been for you?
yeah, I mean, at first, I want to commend the promoters that ask for pronouns. That's really important to me. I know one of the first ones, at least in my experience, that started doing that was Paradigm, pro wrestling
Mhm.
out in Indiana last year. And so I really appreciated that. And now, people like Enjoy Wrestling and Wrestlers Lab and things like that. They're putting pronouns on graphics, which I think is really dope as well.
For
Excuse me.
sure. Mhm.
So I will say, and I probably need to change it. I kind of um not playing around, but I didn't really know what pronouns like I wanted to use. Like I knew she, her fit, right? And I knew that There are times where people confuse me for a male. And I used to get really upset by that when I was in like middle school, high school, whatever, because high school-ish is when I started, wearing men's clothing and stuff like that.
Mhm.
And I would get really upset by that. And then I was like, I was trying to look inward and I'm like, okay, why am I getting upset by that? Why? It's happened less as I've gotten older. Ironically, I've gotten more masculine as I've gotten older, so it doesn't make sense. But anyways, um,
It's finding yourself.
yeah, and so I'm wondering, I'm like, okay, so why does that bother me? Because I'm over here wearing men's clothing. Do
Mhm.
I do I am I okay with people using he him pronouns? So, I put that up there and I told with it, and they them isn't for me.
Yeah.
I some people have, and I need to probably make a post about it or change it or something, but some people have used like they them pronouns for me. That's fine. That's fine. I'm not like offended by it. I'm not upset by it. Those are just not the pronouns that I use myself. So, and I think people using they them, I think they're kind of just trying to be respectful, which is great, because if they don't know like so much like what to call me and everything, because I'm still kind of going through it myself and trying to figure
Yeah.
out what I'm comfortable with. So I will say, um again, I need to go and change it, but I think she her fits. Like because I was reading some things that used he him as well, when talking about me or whatever, and I was like, man, that doesn't
Doesn't
feel
fit.
right. It doesn't fit, yeah, it doesn't fit for me. So like my pronouns are she her, and I like I said, I need to change it, but I just had this like kind of like inner like, I guess for lack of a better term, like turmoil about it. I was really kind of trying to figure out like what it was, what I wanted to do.
I respect that because again, going back, just again, I feel like it's fairly new when it comes to just people identifying with a specific pronoun, and I feel like if you do call someone the wrong pronoun, it may not be because you're being disrespectful. Someone may just not know. So I think it's pretty cool that you're willing to like admit that it's still you're trying to see what fits, and it's you're not going to necessarily be like offended or pissed off that someone refers to you as something different. And at the end of the day, I think it's something that we all have to have just a conversation about. Not everyone is going to know, okay, this is what you want, and vice versa. So I think that's pretty cool that you can embrace that you're not perfect and you're just trying to figure out what fits best for you. So I think that's
Yeah.
pretty dope. But
Oh, well,
now, with that said, though, right? So I'm assuming the goal to outside of working indies, you want to make it to, let's say, WWE, AEW, and whatnot. Do you think that would how would fans like be receptive in regards to that, right? Not even just receptive, but just not even just fans, excuse me, but like the people that run the show. How do you think that translate? Because I know we see fans can be pretty ruthless, like to those who may be trans or just whatever the case might be. So how do you think that how it'll work for you when you get to that point?
yeah. So, and I've thought about this and talked for this. I know like, and maybe eventually, like if it's so much, maybe it'll get to me. But stuff like that kind of rolls off my back if like fans are disrespectful or whatever. The
Yeah,
thing I'm worried about is my wife. My wife getting
yeah,
upset, because then
yeah.
that's not good for anybody.
I hear you. I hear you.
I know the business and how it can be and everything. She's very protective, which I appreciate, but she's the one who's gonna. It's not me.
she's
I like.
she's not afraid to go off. Listen, I
Yeah,
get it. I get it.
especially when it comes to her wife and her kid. Oh yeah, she's not afraid to go off.
That's
Yeah. So
dope
I mean,
though.
I do. Yeah, like she's super dope. But I do like I think about that, and I think more so in my head, I'm thinking, hey, this would be a good opportunity for like for something different. And I said it before, and Darius said it on Sunday. There is nobody in this business who looks like me, who has the same aura as I do. Excuse me, sorry.
Bless you. I know that
I
sneeze was coming with the sniffles.
was like, oh, I'm so sorry.
It's
This
all good.
pollen out here. We're in a faux spring type thing in Virginia, and it's about to snow, I think, in a couple of days.
I get it. I
So
had an algae attack last week, so I get
yeah,
it.
I'm dying over here. But I think that would be a great opportunity to present something different. Um,
For sure.
because I think I fit like a niche that is not tapped into. I think I don't think their WWE is doing it intentionally or purposefully, but they're kind of tapping into this kind of new niche where it's like, are we attracting queer women? Because Rhea Ripley and Sonya Deville,
Yeah.
they these simps came out the woodwork. Like in the
Yeah.
past month or so. And it's just like, they are
and,
very attractive, I will say. So I'm
and
just
it's
like, but
it's working.
exactly. So I'm like, here's
Yeah.
something that could be tapped into like a whole new market if you really wanted to just, throw that Hail Mary and let's go, let's market this, let's do something with this. Um, and I do think if there was like some love storyline involving two females or something like that, it does need to be done very, very, very carefully, not just your typical, and this was fine for the time period it was in, but not
Yeah.
your typical Mickey James Trish Stratus,
Yes. Where
storyline.
it's like sleazy. Yeah, no, I get what you're talking about. Yeah.
And I liked it. I
Because
mean, I mean, pubescent me was all about it. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like, I was at TV like this the whole time. But
right.
there's a way we can do it nowadays. It's 2022 where we can
That's more tasteful.
exactly, and we can attract more LGBTQ fans, fans of the queer community, and not just the dude that wants to see two women kiss. You know what I mean?
Right. Right. I agree. That's what's the definitely I definitely agree with that. I think there's a market with that, and I didn't even realize until you mentioned specifically Rhea and Sonia. But and then you listen, you being, I don't, they haven't touched on like a black woman like in that role. So there you go. There's your
Right. That's
opening.
what I'm saying. I'm like,
There you
so
go.
yes, and I think like I think both companies could benefit a lot from that. I think we're still attracting typically like the 18 to 35 like white male or whatever. Like we have the capability to attract multiple types of fans. Just look at what's going to go on at the Collective, for example, this year in Dallas. You got Bloodsport, you got Mission Pro Wrestling, you got Effie's Big Gay Brunch, among other shows, obviously.
Right.
Three very different types of wrestling, like vastly different. You got Mission Pro, you got Effie's Big Gay Brunch, you got an all women show and you got a queer friendly show. And those are going to attract a ton of, that crowd. They're going to attract like, your normal 18 to 35 white male demographic wrestling fan as well. But you're going to see, different types of people coming out to these shows. Like, hey, there are a lot of female wrestling fans. Hey, there are a lot of, wrestling fans in the queer community. Like, you just need to market
There
towards
is.
them.
Absolutely. There is, especially I've noticed that since dabbling, for example, in wrestling Twitter, whatever, there are a lot of fans in the um LGBTQ community that are just as passionate as straight fans, right? So it's definitely about marketing to the right crowd. So
Yeah.
with that said, um do you have any advice for someone in that's coming up, whether it could be wrestling or in general, just that doesn't know necessarily, that's trying to find themselves? What can you tell someone or wish someone could have told you that growing up or even now?
Yeah, so find your people, find your core. Like the people that I started this wrestling journey with, I'm still good friends with today, and I've made even more close friends because it can be tough in this business to stay true to yourself because you got a lot of outside influences coming at you that
Yeah.
quite possibly may want to change you, maybe for the better, maybe for the worse, who knows. um and part of that is like, people, not just professional wrestling, but people prey on people who are, like, I guess for lack of a better term, lost, or maybe like don't know themselves yet, or something like that. But find people that like can take care of you, and I'm not just saying take care of you like provide like a bed or anything for you to sleep in, but will take care of you, like, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, who have your back. Like, I have, one of my best friends in wrestling is Riley Shepard, and not only does she, like, I've said this before, like, I have a key to her apartment. Like, she lives in Jersey. I have a key to her apartment. It's great because whenever I wrestle up in the tri-state area, I have somewhere to crash. And whenever I have to go to Massachusetts for Beyond or something like that, like, she's about halfway, so I can crash at her place. But like, we literally talk like almost every day, and we gas each other up all the time, and we're honest with each other as well when it's like, hey, you could do this better, but hey, this was good here, you need to be more aggressive here, like blah 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 blah, whatever. um you need your community like that, and it's not gonna be big. It's not gonna be big
It doesn't
because
have to
that,
be big.
yeah, and it doesn't have to be. If you got them that, one, two, three, four, a few key people that's gonna keep it real
Yes.
with you. I mean, you know, why you think Trish teams up with us all the time? No, I'm just kidding. Trish is amazing. Is why. But nah, she's one of my favorite people in wrestling. She's like just a very genuine soul.
Absolutely. That's awesome. Okay, so let's get into it. We had fun catching up and getting to know you, but let's see one of your matches. Tell me about the one that we're gonna watch now.
So, like most people, I hate watching my match back. I have watched this one back though, because it's one of my favorites. So we are
Okay.
watching myself versus Masha Slamovich, someone else who I respect a ton in this business. She is doing great things from Global Syndicate Wrestling. Was their global festival? No, it's from High Voltage. See, I'm terrible. From a High Voltage taping that we did, last May, I believe, in Asbury Park. Nice venue. So yeah.
All right. Let's get into it. So it gotta be top notch if you've actually watched this back. But what? So as we're getting ready, like as the match is starting, what is it? What is it about like wrestlers like they can't watch their matches back? What is it?
We are our own worst critic, and I'm definitely my own worst critic because I'd be like, somebody will be like, that was a 5-star match, that was perfect, blah blah blah, and I'll look at it and be like, why did I make a space here? Why did I move like that? Why did I go over here?
Yeah.
Why? So
No, I hear you.
that's why
Eh, a
I need to
whole
get a
lie
new
right
towel.
there.
I need
The
to get a
daddy
whole,
of the district. It's a lie.
yeah. Not okay.
It's
Dang. Not,
a
call me
lie.
out.
It's a lie.
Oh my god. Can I just live my
Listen,
life?
no, because now, especially since you say you go to Jersey, a lot of your matches are in Jersey. I'm in New York. It's nothing for us to go there. I will make sure I'll. It's a lie, just like that.
Oh my god. Well, yeah, a lot of my matches are in Jersey because Richmond Park has become the mecca of professional wrestling over the
Yeah.
pandemic. So,
The Mecca.
I'm like, God damn, how many times you would think I would know like how to get there without a GPS, but no, I still need a GPS to get there. And you would think I could get there on autopilot, but I could not.
Listen, I've lived in New York for what? All 31, almost 32 years of my life. In my own neighborhood, I still need a GPS for specific spots. So
Not in your own neighborhood.
No, in my own neighborhood. Though I don't need your judgment. Let's watch the match.
I'm dead. Man, look at Masha. Just a little killer.
So is
A
this a
little.
championship match or she just the champion?
It's a championship match. Yep.
Okay. Oh, come on. Don't. All right, there we go.
See, in Richmond, Virginia.
Whatever. Richmond, woo.
Oh my God. Yes, yes. I know. Nobody used to
Woo.
reference.
Name could literally daddy of Richmond, but you choose district.
No, because that's
Why
not sexy.
no?
That's not
It's
sexy. No, Daddy
okay.
of the District alliteration. Just it just
Uh,
it
it
flows,
just
and
flows.
I came up with it myself too, and I'm proud of it.
Oh, good job.
Oh my God. I guess it kind of came. Oh yeah, is that Gina? Yes, we love Gina. Gina's such a good ref.
Yeah.
Got
What
a
makes her a good
whole. She takes it seriously, and I'm not saying that referees don't typically take it seriously, but she is trained. She's in shape. You have to be in shape to be a referee, like because of like all the getting up and getting down. They probably get up and get down more than we do.
Yeah, for sure. Mr.
Um,
Boog Mr. Boog said Jordan Blade is a good wrestler. I was shocked. Why are you shocked, sir? What does that mean?
what? Yeah, what? I'm
I'm
shocked.
I'm what I don't understand what that comment was about, but
Hey, look, man, Masha's a better wrestler than me. I'm not even going to front, but I think I'm okay. Like, dang, like, I think I'm alright.
yeah, my well,
I can hold my own. I can hold my own. Oh, look at that! Look at that! Look at that full Nelson, and look at the flying mare. Into
another
the shin
another
lock.
another nickname you said the submission
Sniper.
sniper. So
Yep.
you definitely mentioned that like that's more of your style when it comes to wrestling. So you wouldn't dabble in high flying or anything like that?
So first off, my jujitsu instructor came up with a submission sniper, and I
Okay.
thought it was really good, and I kept it. And then apparently, so my wife is actually deployed right now, so she was like, "You have a ton of her goal is to turn her whole unit into fans of mine, but it really is a hit with military folk, the
Oh,
sniper
nice.
part,
The sniper,
because
yeah, that whole part. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
but
Oh,
no,
look at that.
I would not dabble in nobody's high flying. I wanted to, like when I
Oh,
was 12 and saw, Jeff Hardy and stuff like that. But
and
even
and
before,
Lita, and
and
Lita,
Lita, but even before my injuries, I tore my ACL, I broke my ankle. The way my joints are set up now, I could not high fly. The most I would do is probably a little cute little up and over, and that's about it. That's
so we're not gonna hear Jordan Blade with the moonsault. None of that.
No, the most
No.
you saw was that little pop up when I stepped on the little the bottom turnbuckle there against Darius and went through his legs and hit the German. That
And
was
that
that
was
was as close. That was it. That was as close as it was gonna get. I was training with
that.
Eel and Joey Ibanez, like it was months ago or whatever. And Joey has that. I don't know if it's a bad word now, but Joey has a lot of Shakara training. So a lot of that Yamave style, where I don't know the words to things. And I was like, Joey, I know what a body slam is. I don't know what an Alita is. I'm so sorry. I do now. But anyway, so he was
Yeah.
having us do all the flips and getting in and out of the ring and stuff like that. And I'm like, Joe, my knees hurt. Like, I legitimately, hurts, and my body's tight everywhere. I would benefit from some yoga.
Right.
So look at that. The arm is killing me. She's been working the arm.
She was working your arm. There was that one spot right there at the ropes. I was like,
Why people,
she's doing a number.
she is. Why
She's doing
people
a
keep
number on
targeting
you.
my arm? Darius targeted my arm on Sunday.
Is this a injury that we're working with?
No, all my injuries are. I probably shouldn't say this, but all my injuries are lower body.
You hear
Like,
that? You hear that? Potential opponents. Her lower body. Work on the lower body. Babe,
if you try
I
to,
got you.
because I'm tight everywhere. Knock on wood. That I don't hurt anything upper body. Because if I do,
It's a wrap.
it's a wrap. I'm just gonna go ahead and retire.
No, we got a few more years before you retire.
I'm hoping so. Ducky, please. My cat is whining for attention, like she always does. Like she always does when I do a podcast. I don't understand.
Listen, at least it's not like my two dogs will randomly start barking. It's just like
So yeah,
so ghetto.
mine is barking too because I put him outside for like an hour. You haven't been outside all day. What are you barking for?
The ghetto.
Yeah. He's like, it's ghetto out here. Bring me back inside.
This is actually a very good match.
I liked it. I mean, I always look back and I'm like, oh, I could have done this better. Like I could have, this, blah blah blah. And I think too, I think Martyr might have been watching.
Uh-huh. Well,
Um,
listen, like the
ooh,
selling is good. The spots, the submissions,
thank
definitely.
you.
The faces you're making, it's fine. You don't have to worry about the faces that you're making.
Okay, that's good. That's good because I'd
That
be
was the
like,
main thing. You're good.
because I'd be thinking like that's one thing tagging with Eel too. I mean, he's a theater kid, right? So he has an acting background, and so I watch him, when we're doing our tag matches, and I'm just in awe because he's such a great seller. He's such a great emoter. He's such a great actor. So I'll watch him while he's in the ring, his facial expressions, and I'm like, okay, let me do this. I'll pick up certain things from him, because I like that's another reason why I like tagging.
Yeah. I think that's such a lost art when it comes to selling because again, it tells such a story in regards to a match, and not enough
Hmm.
people do.
Exactly. Ooh,
Let's
I love
go.
the boxing boxes. Two of
Let's
my favorites.
go. Ooh,
I know.
thought that was it. Thought that was it.
I thought it was too.
So what are
What?
you working? You're working heel or
Now I'm a
face?
face here.
Okay.
Look, that's beautiful. And I'm the one who got put in it, but I thought it was beautiful.
Grasping the hands. Okay. 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 It froze. It's free. Okay. So what do you? I always ask this question. What have you worked heel?
Oh yeah, like it
What
was
do you?
weird. So
Uh huh.
I I don't know. I'm liking both, but it was weird. So there was a period of time, and it might have been like for a period of 2020 into 2021, I was
Mm,
like almost solely heel. And then
okay.
there was a transition to where like people wanted to book me as a baby face. So then I
Yeah.
was wrestling solely as a baby face. And now it's been like a little bit of back and forth. Like I'm like I was I was a baby.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm gonna let you finish, but let's
I'm
go.
gonna let you finish.
Let's go.
I would just like to say that
Yeah,
I've beaten Masha twice. She has not beaten me.
best of the best.
Here we go.
I was looking on your page. At one point, you had 3 belts, right?
Yep. So right now I have four. So I have this
Oh,
one.
oh, oh. Okay. I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
I ain't really, I was not trying to stunt. I was not trying to stunt.
I'm sorry.
I
Do a better
this
job with your research.
the, this is the fourth one I got. So this is like the most recent one.
Told
Um,
you.
I have this one. I have the Pro Wrestling Magic Women's Championship that I'm defending this Saturday against Lil Me and
Mhm.
Kathleen, and I've never been more scared for an opponent. So, than
Why?
Ellen
I was gonna ask you that before we ended off the show to
Ellen
tell us a little bit more
K.
about that match.
LMK is a menace to society.
I went on her page. She looks a little the real belt collector. Exactly. I was a little I don't want to say weirded out, but I was like, she looks intense. So
She is
you're
intense.
confirming that.
I
The
faced
way
her
the
one
eyes just
time.
popped just now.
Yes, I faced her one time. She was my first title defense for that title, and I beat her. So, um, but yeah, no, I'm very excited. I've Pro Wrestling Magic Championship, the Global Syndicate Wrestling Solo Syndicate Championship, the Paradigm Pro Wrestling Super Middleweight Championship, and the United Elite Wrestling Women's Championship. UEW is the wrestling promotion that's based out of my hometown, Richmond, Virginia.
Copy. Got you. Richmond.
Yes,
That's what you
yes.
guys do.
Hey, two up, two
Two up,
down,
two up, down.
two up,
I'm
two
hip.
down.
I'm hip. So Jordan, tell me or not just me, but everyone that's watching, where can they find you at? What do you have coming up besides this match coming up this Saturday? The floor is yours.
Yes, so y'all can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Jordan_Blade92. A lot of cool stuff coming up this weekend. This Friday, I'm wrestling the God Queen, Delmi Exo, at Grind Pro Wrestling up in Massachusetts. And then I will be defending my Pro Wrestling Magic Women's Championship against LMK all fucking day. This Saturday, Pro Wrestling Magic at the Mecca of independent professional wrestling, that is Ridgefield Park, New Jersey. Next Saturday, I have the pleasure of going back to Texas to Mission Pro Wrestling. I will be wrestling there. And then I got some other cool stuff coming up. I don't have my calendar in front of me. So that's all I can remember at the moment. But yes, I'm really excited. I'll be in
We're
Dallas
booked
for
and busy.
WrestleMania week. Yes, booked and busy. I'll be in Dallas for WrestleMania week. So I'm really excited about that as well.
Awesome, awesome. Well, definitely let us know. Like, since you're always out here in the tri-state area, we can pull up and I can, you know, daddy of Richmond. Yeah,
No, it doesn't work.
it's the truth. Walking your truth, Jordan.
Oh
Walk
my
in your
God.
truth.
He said, live your truth. I'm dead.
No, but thank you for joining me. I had a blast.
Thank
You, I'm not sure, Blue. You didn't let me know who you interviewing next week, but I'm assuming you're interviewing someone next week. But you can catch us here on Twitch at the Mixed Tag Show. You can find us on YouTube / the Mixed Tag Show on Twitter and Instagram, and you can catch me on Twitter and Instagram at Miss Jenna Baby BAYBEE. We don't have anyone yet. All right, we don't have anyone yet.
Maybe Joy can help us get. I'll hit her up. I'll hit her up. She's supposed to be. I don't know if y'all saw the Instagram story. that she put earlier today. She was trying some of them lemonades and Girl Scout cookies, and I told her to bring me some, and she said I ate the whole box. I said you fake. I said you're fake. I hate you. So
Well,
I'll hit her up for the
not
lemonades and to be on y'all Twitch stream.
that well, she's not the only one that's fake around here. Daddy of district. All right, but that's our show.